Before we get into it, if this video found you at the right moment, let me know with your favorite emoji. Just before we start, this community spans every continent. Drop your city's name if you feel comfortable sharing. Before we dive in, whether you're having your morning coffee or winding down for the night, you're exactly where you need to be. Before the story begins, let's make this personal. What brought you here today? A recommendation, curiosity, or maybe just the universe guiding you? The 12-year-old stood in church, wearing bridesmaid dress she hated, watching her sister Madison prepare to marry Derek. Emma knew, absolutely knew, Derek was dangerous. She'd seen bruises Madison hid, heard Derek's explosive temper, watched him isolate Madison systematically, but nobody believed 12-year-old's concerns. "You're too young to understand." Emma felt helpless, desperate. Then she saw them through window. 10 Hell's Angels motorcycles, 10 massive bikers entering church, strangers. But strangers meant no loyalty to Derek. Emma made insane decision, approached their president, pulled his sleeve. "Please, sir, please don't let my sister marry him. He hurts her. Nobody believes me because I'm just a kid, but I know he's dangerous. After they marry, he'll hurt her worse. Maybe kill her. She's all I have. Our parents died. She raised me alone. I love her, and I can't save her alone. Please." 10 bikers stared, child desperately begging strangers to stop wedding. President looked in her eyes, saw genuine terror, asked calmly, "What's your name?" "Emma. My sister's Madison. She raised me since I was 4, and Derek will hurt her, I know it." President looked at his brothers. They nodded. When 12-year-old asks Hell's Angels for protection, you listen. Emma Sullivan was 12 years old. She lived with her older sister Madison, 26, in small Idaho town. They'd lived together alone for 8 years since their parents died in car accident when Emma was 4 and Madison was 18. Madison had sacrificed everything for Emma, given up college plans, taken 2 jobs, waitress during day, retail clerk at night, earning $38,000 yearly total. Raised Emma alone in modest apartment. Been mother, father, best friend, hero for 8 years, just the 2 of them. Sisters who became everything to each other. Emma adored Madison, worshipped her. Madison taught Emma everything, protected her, loved her unconditionally. Their bond was unbreakable, or so Emma thought. Then Madison met Derek Thompson 6 months ago. He seemed charming initially, 32 years old. Good job, attentive, but Emma saw warning signs immediately that Madison missed or ignored. Derek was controlling, told Madison what to wear, criticized her friends until she stopped seeing them, isolated her gradually, spoke badly about Emma constantly. "Your little sister's too spoiled. You baby her. When we're married, that changes." Derek had explosive temper. Emma heard him yelling at Madison 3 times in 2 months. Once Emma saw a red mark on Madison's arm. Madison tried hiding it. "Accident, hit the door." But Emma knew. Derek had hurt Madison physically. Emma was terrified. "Maddie, please don't marry him," Emma begged repeatedly. "He's mean. He hurts you. Please." "Derek loves me," Madison insisted. "He just gets stressed sometimes. It'll get better after we're married. You'll understand when you're older." But Emma understood now. She was 12, not stupid. She saw what Madison refused to see. Derek was abuser. After marriage, abuse would worsen. Emma had researched online, read statistics, knew how this ended. Madison seriously hurt or dead. But Emma was powerless. 12 years old, no legal authority. Distant relatives thought Derek was great guy. No evidence except bruises Madison hid and Emma's observations. Nobody believed children about adult matters. Wedding was scheduled for Saturday, June 15th. Small church, 50 guests. Emma was bridesmaid, wore dress she hated, watched helplessly as Madison prepared to marry man who would destroy her. June 15th arrived. Morning of wedding. Emma woke with knot in stomach. Today, Madison would marry abuser. Emma couldn't stop it. She'd tried everything, begged, cried, argued. Nothing worked. At church, Emma stood in bridesmaid dress, watching guests arrive, feeling desperation grow. Ceremony started in 30 minutes. She didn't know how to stop this. Then she saw something unexpected through church window. 10 huge Harley-Davidson motorcycles parking outside. 10 massive men dismounting, black leather vests with patches. Hell's Angels, MC, Idaho. Covered in tattoos, intimidating, terrifying. They entered church, apparently just passing through town. Stopped to use bathroom maybe. Curious about ceremony. Nothing to do with Madison's wedding. Just strangers. Emma stared at them. 10 massive bikers, scary-looking, dangerous appearing. Then desperate idea formed. Insane idea, but last hope. These men didn't know Derek, had no reason to protect him, looked strong enough to actually do something. Emma was out of options, out of time. This was absolutely crazy, but it was all she had. She approached the biggest one, had to be 6'4". Leather vest said, President. Name patch, Reaper. Scariest-looking man Emma had ever seen. Trembling, she gently pulled his sleeve, getting his attention. He looked down, saw 12-year-old with tears streaming. Emma whispered desperately, Please, sir, please don't let my sister marry him. He hurts her. Nobody believes me because I'm just a kid, but I know he's dangerous. After they marry, he'll hurt her more, maybe kill her. She's all I have in the world. Our parents died. She raised me alone. I love her and I can't save her alone. Please, you're the only ones here strong enough to stop this. Please don't let her marry him. 10 Hell's Angels stared, completely stunned. 12-year-old desperately begging strangers to stop wedding. This was unprecedented. Reaper, whose real name was Marcus Webb, 58, father of 3 daughters, man who dedicated life to protecting vulnerable, looked into Emma's eyes, saw genuine terror. Desperate love, not manipulation. Truth. He asked calmly, What's your name, sweetheart? Emma, she sobbed, and my sister's Madison. She's 26. She raised me since I was 4. She's basically my mom, and Derek's going to hurt her. I know it. I've seen bruises. I've heard him yell. He scares me. Please, you have to help. Reaper looked at his 9 brothers. They nodded without words. Universal agreement. When 12-year-old runs to Hell's Angels begging protection for sister, you don't dismiss it. You investigate. Show us where she is, Reaper said. We'll talk to your sister and this Derek. If what you're saying is true, we'll handle it. Angels protect family, always. Emma led 10 massive Hell's Angels to bridal preparation room. Madison was inside, alone, putting on veil, looking beautiful but sad. Emma knocked, entered. Maddie, I need you to listen to these men, please. Madison turned, saw 10 intimidating bikers entering her bridal room. Confusion crossed her face. Emma, what? Who are these people? Reaper stepped forward, spoke calmly but firmly. Ma'am, your sister's worried about you. Says your fiancé's abusive, that you're in danger. Is that true? Madison's defenses rose immediately. That's none of your business. Who even are you? We're Hell's Angels, Idaho, Reaper said, just passing through. Your sister approached us, asked us to protect you. She's terrified for you, and I'm seeing fresh bruise on your wrist, ma'am. Finger marks. Someone grabbed you hard recently. Want to explain that? Madison instinctively covered her wrist, started crying. It's complicated. It's simple, Reaper said gently. Either you're safe with this man, or you're not. Your little sister's so scared, she asked complete strangers for help because she didn't know what else to do. That tells me everything. So I'll ask again. Are you safe with Derek Thompson? Madison broke, collapsed into chair, sobbing. No, I'm not safe. He gets violent when he drinks. Yesterday he pushed me against wall because he didn't like my dress. But I don't have anywhere to go. I can't afford to cancel wedding. My whole family's here. Ma'am, Reaper interrupted firmly but kindly, you do have choice, you do have power, and you do have 10 Hell's Angels Idaho who will guarantee your safety if you decide not to marry this abuser. Your sister asked us for help. Angels don't abandon family. So what do you want? Forget money, forget guests, forget embarrassment. What do you actually want? Madison looked at Emma, her baby sister, 12 years old, who loved her so much she'd recruited bikers to save her, who'd been trying to tell her truth for months, who deserved better than watching her only family marry monster. Madison whispered, "I want to leave. I want to be safe. I want to protect Emma from him." Reaper nodded. "Then that's what happens. You and Emma come with us right now. My brothers will explain to guests that wedding's cancelled, and if Derek tries anything, he'll discover why people don't mess with angels. Understood?" Madison nodded, relief flooding her face. First time in months she'd felt hope. Derek was waiting at altar, growing impatient. Ceremony should have started. Where was bride? He stormed toward bridal room, furious, ready to yell, opened door, found Madison and Emma standing with 10 massive Hell's Angels. "What the hell is this?" Derek demanded. "Madison, get out here. We're getting married. Now." "No," Madison said quietly but firmly. "We're not. Wedding's cancelled. I'm leaving." Derek's face went red. "You're what?" "After I paid for everything? After I—" He stepped toward Madison aggressively. 10 Hell's Angels moved as one. Human wall between Derek and Madison. Reaper's voice was deadly calm. "Wedding's cancelled. Miss Sullivan doesn't want to marry you. Suggest you accept that peacefully." Derek tried pushing past, tried reaching Madison, made huge mistake. Snake, Reaper's second-in-command, grabbed Derek's arm, twisted it behind back, immobilized him completely. "Don't move! You can't do this!" Derek screamed. "She's my fiancée." "She was your fiancée," Reaper corrected. "Now she's woman under Angel's protection. You're done here. Leave quietly or we call police." "I'm calling police," Derek yelled. "You're assaulting me." "Please do," Reaper said calmly. "We'd love to report attempted assault on woman and child, also domestic violence. Pretty sure you've got record. Want us to check?" Derek went pale. He did have record. Restraining orders, domestic violence arrests, 2 states. Madison didn't know he'd hidden it. Police arrived, called by church staff hearing commotion. They found Derek being restrained by bikers, Madison and Emma hiding behind angels. Story came out quickly. Officers ran Derek's name, found warrants, domestic violence, violation of restraining orders. Multiple states, they arrested him right there at his own wedding. Madison and Emma watched Derek being handcuffed, led away screaming. Madison couldn't believe it. "I almost married that. I almost— Emma, you saved me. You saved us both." Emma hugged her sister. "I couldn't let you marry him, Maddie. I love you too much." Reaper approached. "Ladies, you need somewhere safe to stay until you figure things out." Madison nodded. "Our apartment lease is in Derek's name. He knows where we live. I'm scared to go back." "Then don't," Reaper said. "We've got clubhouse. Safe. Protected. You can stay there tonight. Tomorrow we'll help you find new place. Get your stuff from old apartment, whatever you need." "Why?" Madison asked. "Why are you helping us? You don't even know us." "Because your 12-year-old sister asked us to," Reaper said simply. "And when kid that brave asks for protection, we provide it. That's what angels do." Madison and Emma stayed at Hell's Angels clubhouse that night. Terrified initially. Clubhouse full of bikers, but they were safe, protected. Bikers were gentlemen. Respectful, kind. Next morning, 10 angels helped them retrieve belongings from apartment. Derek was in jail, but they took no chances. Made sure Madison and Emma were protected. They found new apartment for Madison and Emma. Small but safe. Different part of town. Hell's Angels co-signed lease, paid first month's rent, helped them move in. "I'll pay you back," Madison promised. "Every cent. I don't know how long it'll take, but—" "Don't worry about it," Reaper said. "Consider it protection tax. You needed help. We provided. That's family." Story spread quickly. Small town. Church full of witnesses. 12-year-old asks Hell's Angels to stop sister's wedding to abuser. They did. Well, local news covered it. Then state news. Then national. Video from someone's phone went viral. Showed Emma approaching Reaper. Showed 10 bikers entering bridal room. Showed Derek being arrested. 800 million views in 2 weeks. Comments overwhelming with support and emotion. This is what real men look like. Protecting women and children. That 12-year-old had more courage than any adult there. Hell's Angels just became heroes. Don't judge by appearance. The sister should have listened to Emma sooner. Kids know. News organizations interviewed Madison, Emma, and Reaper. "How do you feel about what happened?" Madison cried. "Emma saved my life." I was so blinded by thinking I needed Derek that I ignored every warning sign. My baby sister, who I raised, saw clearer than I did. She had courage to ask strangers for help when I wouldn't help myself. And these angels, who society says are dangerous, they protected us when nobody else would. Emma said simply, "I couldn't let Maddie marry him. I love her too much. She raised me, sacrificed everything for me. It was my turn to save her. The angels help because they're good people, even if they look scary." Reaper explained, "We were just passing through, stopped at church. Emma approached me desperately, begging for help. What kind of man says no to that? She was terrified, sincere. We investigated, found abuse, stopped it. That's what decent people do. Appearance doesn't determine character, actions do." Story-inspired movement. Listen to children. Abuse happens everywhere. Help when asked. Don't judge by appearance. Law enforcement praised angels. They did everything right, recognized danger, protected victims, helped arrest abuser, textbook intervention. Domestic violence organizations featured story. When children express concerns about adults' relationships, listen. Children often see abuse adults miss or deny. At 6 months, Madison and Emma were thriving. New apartment, new job for Madison, better pay, better hours. Emma back in school. Both safe, happy. Free from Derek, who remained in prison awaiting trial. They maintained close relationship with Hell's Angels Idaho. Angels became extended family, protected them, supported them. Emma called Reaper Uncle Marcus. "You saved us," Madison told Reaper during dinner at Clubhouse. "Emma saved you," Reaper corrected. "She had courage to ask for help. We just provided muscle. She's the brave one." At 1 year, Madison was thriving. Promoted at work, earning enough for stability, Emma excelling in school, both healing from trauma, both stronger. Derek was convicted. Domestic violence, multiple counts, sentenced to 12 years. Multiple victims testified. Pattern of abuse. He'd done this before, would have done worse to Madison. Emma's courage saved me from that, Madison reflected. And Angel's intervention changed trajectory of my life. I could be dead. Instead, I'm here, safe, happy, free. At 10 years, Emma was 22, college graduate, studying social work, planning career, helping domestic violence victims. Uncle Reaper inspired me. He showed that protecting vulnerable people is highest calling. Madison, now 36, volunteered with domestic violence organizations, sharing her story, teaching people to recognize warning signs, encouraging victims to leave. Listen when children raise concerns. They often see clearer than we do. The angels established Emma's Courage Fund, helping domestic violence victims escape dangerous situations, providing safe housing, legal support, protection. First year, help 500 women and children leave abusers safely. Emma showed us that sometimes children are bravest people in room, fund directors explained. We ensure domestic violence victims get protection and resources needed to leave safely. Sometimes heroes wear leather. Sometimes 12-year-olds save lives. Sometimes asking scary strangers for help works. Emma proved it. Angels honored it. At 30 years after Emma begged Hell's Angels to stop Madison's wedding to abuser, the impact of that 12-year-old's desperate courage had transformed domestic violence intervention approaches globally. Emma was 42 now, director of National Domestic Violence Prevention Organization, focusing on empowering family members to intervene early, while Madison, 56, retired from successful career, volunteered extensively with survivors' support programs. 30 years ago, I was marrying abuser, Madison told audience of 4,000 at National Domestic Violence Prevention Conference. My 12-year-old sister Emma saw danger I refused to acknowledge. She tried everything, begging, crying, explaining. I dismissed her concerns. So Emma made desperate decision. She approached 10 Hell's Angels strangers in church and begged them to stop wedding. Those intimidating bikers listened when adults hadn't. Investigated, protected us, arrested Derek, who had warrants for domestic violence across multiple states. Emma's courage and Angel's intervention saved my life. created 30 years of helping families recognize and escape abuse before it's fatal. Reaper had passed 15 years earlier at 83, 17 years after stopping Madison's wedding. His funeral drew 70,000 people. Emma delivered eulogy, crying. Uncle Marcus looked terrifying but had gentlest heart. When desperate 12-year-old begged him for help, he listened, didn't dismiss child's concerns, investigated thoroughly, protected us completely. He taught me that appearance doesn't determine character, that protecting vulnerable people requires immediate action, that listening to children's warnings saves lives. Thank you, Uncle Marcus. I became advocate because you showed me how to protect people properly. Emma's Courage Fund, established 30 years earlier, had grown exponentially, operating across all states with annual budget exceeding $400 million. Program provided comprehensive support for domestic violence victims and their families, safe emergency housing, legal advocacy, protection services, family counseling, economic support, ensuring victims could leave safely. Success rate remarkable. 91% of helped victims remained safe 5 years post-intervention. We succeed because we remember Emma's story exactly, program directors explained during strategic planning session. 12-year-old recognized danger adults missed. She sought protection from unlikely sources. We teach family members, especially children, to recognize abuse warning signs, to trust their instincts, to seek help from any available protective adults. We train responders to listen when family members raise concerns regardless of age. That comprehensive approach prevents fatal outcomes. A viral video from 30 years earlier, Emma approaching Reaper in church, angels entering bridal room, Derek's arrest, had been viewed over 12 billion times across 3 decades, making it most watched domestic violence intervention video in history. Image of small, desperate Emma pulling massive biker's sleeve had become iconic in domestic violence prevention field, appearing on safety education materials, intervention training programs, documentaries about family protection. Emma's protocol had been adopted by law enforcement and social services worldwide. When family members, especially children, expressed concerns about upcoming marriages or relationships showing abuse patterns, professionals were required to investigate thoroughly rather than dismiss concerns based on reporters' age. Protocol had prevented estimated 15,000 marriages to known abusers across 30 years. We realize now that children often see abuse patterns adults miss or rationalize, child protection specialists explained. Emma saw Derek's controlling behavior, isolation tactics, physical violence. Adults dismissed her concerns as childish misunderstanding. Emma was right. Adults were wrong. Her protocol ensures we investigate all family member concerns seriously. At 35 years after wedding intervention, Emma received Presidential Medal of Freedom for lifetime domestic violence prevention work. At ceremony, Madison attended as her guest, both wearing necklaces containing small metal pieces from church where intervention occurred, preserved 35 years as reminder. "This metal represents moment my life changed," Madison said during reception. "Behind these church doors, my baby sister saved me by trusting scary strangers. Those strangers proved appearance doesn't determine character. That moment created 35 years of systematic domestic violence prevention. We've helped 60,000 families escape abuse safely, prevented estimated 300 deaths based on statistical projections. At 40 years, anniversary was commemorated with week-long national celebration. Original Idaho church, where Emma stopped wedding, had been converted into Family Protection Center, education facility teaching abuse recognition, intervention strategies, family empowerment. 5 million visitors annually walked through, learning about 12-year-olds' courage and bikers' protective response. 40 years ago, child trusted instinct adults ignored, speakers declared during ceremony attended by 35,000, including domestic violence survivors whose families had intervened early, preventing escalation. Scary-looking strangers responded protectively. That exchange created 40 years of teaching families to recognize abuse early, to intervene decisively, to seek protection from unlikely sources. We've helped 100,000 families, prevented estimated 500 deaths. Madison, now 66 but still active, spoke emotionally. 40 years ago I was blind. Emma saw clearly. She was 12. I was 26. She saved me because she loved me enough to do something terrifying. Ask strangers for help. Every survivor here benefited from lessons learned that day. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Uncle Marcus and his angels. You created movement saving thousands. Hamu, Emma's own children, married at 30, had 2 kids, now teenagers, were both involved in domestic violence prevention work, inspired directly by family story. Mum's childhood courage shaped everything about our understanding of family protection, her son explained. We grew up learning that age doesn't determine wisdom, that children's concerns deserve serious investigation, that unlikely protectors often provide best help. Those aren't abstract principles, they're our family origin story. Hell's Angels nationally had been significantly transformed by Emma's wedding intervention. Many chapters established domestic violence protection programs, partnered with women's shelters, provided security for victims escaping dangerous situations. Annual domestic violence prevention funding exceeded $80 million, all because one 12-year-old had trusted them with desperate plea. Emma changed how we see our role, Current Angels explained. Before her, we protected club members. After her courage, we understood protecting vulnerable people, especially women and children escaping abuse, is core mission. Many members now work directly with domestic violence organizations. We provide protection, security, transportation for victims leaving dangerous situations. That's Emma's legacy through us. At 50 years after that June wedding day, 50th anniversary was massive national event. Representatives from domestic violence organizations in 70 countries attended. Thousands of families who'd intervened early based on Emma's protocol returned sharing success stories. Madison, now 76, and Emma, 62, participated together, celebrating 50 years of lives saved. 50 years ago, I begged scary strangers to save my sister, Emma told 70,000 attendees. They listened. They acted. They showed that protection matters more than appearance. That exchange created 50 years of teaching families to intervene early, to trust their instincts, to seek help from unlikely sources. We've helped 250,000 families, prevented estimated 1,200 deaths, changed laws in 93 countries. Thank you to everyone who learned from our story and used it to protect someone they love. At 75 years after Emma's desperate church plea, both she and Madison were gone. Emma had passed at 77 after extraordinary advocacy career. Madison at 91 after lifetime volunteering with survivors. But movement they'd inspired with Hell's Angels continued expanding dramatically. Emma's Courage Fund had evolved into Family First Prevention Network, comprehensive domestic violence intervention organization operating in 120 countries. Annual budget exceeding $15 billion globally. Over 2 million families helped across 75 years with sustained safety rates, demonstrating early family intervention, prevented abuse escalation, and fatal outcomes. Emma's principle guides our entire methodology, network leaders explained during 75th Anniversary Summit. Children and family members often recognize abuse patterns before professionals. Their concerns deserve serious investigation regardless of age. We train families to recognize warning signs early, empower them to intervene decisively, connect them with protective resources, including unlikely allies. That's Emma model. Early recognition, decisive intervention, comprehensive protection. Hell's Angels had become internationally recognized domestic violence protection organization with 30 million members globally. operating safety programs in 90 countries, providing security and protection for tens of thousands of abuse victims annually. They'd evolved from motorcycle clubs into essential components of domestic violence prevention infrastructure. Emma's trust changed us permanently, members explained. One 12-year-old's desperate plea taught us that protecting abuse victims is highest calling. We're no longer defined primarily by motorcycles. We're defined by willingness to protect vulnerable people when asked. Many chapters operate safe houses, provide security escorts for women leaving dangerous relationships, partner with law enforcement on high-risk interventions. Our original Idaho church site had expanded into 75-acre Emma and Madison Family Safety Campus, museum documenting domestic violence prevention history, training center for intervention specialists, research institute studying early warning indicators, operational headquarters for Mountain West Region protection programs. 15 million visitors annually walked through, many specifically standing in exact church spot where Emma pulled Reaper's sleeve, learning about courage that saved sister and created global movement. This floor is sacred ground, guides explained to visitors. Here, desperate 12-year-old trusted her instinct over adults' dismissals. Here, intimidating bikers proved appearance doesn't determine character. Here, movement began that's protected 2 million families across 75 years. Stand here. Remember that children's concerns deserve investigation, that unlikely allies often provide best protection, that early intervention saves lives. At 100 years after Emma stopped Madison's wedding, Centennial was humanity's largest coordinated domestic violence prevention celebration. Simultaneous events in every participating country. 3 billion people engaging through gatherings, media, digital platforms. All honoring century of teaching families to recognize and escape abuse early. 100 years ago, Emma begged Hell's Angels for help, world leaders declared in coordinated statements. They investigated, protected, arrested abuser with multi-state warrant history. That intervention created century of systematic early warning domestic violence prevention. We've helped 20 million families, prevented estimated 100,000 deaths based on statistical modeling, changed global culture around family intervention in potential abuse situations. At 150 years, sesquicentennial marked revolutionary policy changes. Every participating nation had implemented Emma Madison protocols, requiring serious investigation of all family member abuse concerns, regardless of reporter's age, mandating early intervention when warning signs appear, providing comprehensive protection and economic support, enabling safe departure from dangerous relationships. Emma taught us 150 years ago that children see clearly what adults rationalize away, policymakers explained during implementation ceremonies. We're ensuring every family member's concern receives thorough investigation. Every victim receives comprehensive support for safe escape. That systemic honoring of Emma's courage and Angel's protective response. 200 years after 12-year-old Emma desperately pulled Hell's Angel's sleeve, begging him to stop her sister's wedding, their story had achieved legendary status in domestic violence prevention field. Every intervention program globally followed Emma Madison model, early family recognition, unlikely ally protection, comprehensive safety support. The Emma principle, concept that family members, especially children, recognize abuse patterns early and deserve serious investigation, that protective intervention from any source prevents escalation, that appearance doesn't determine ally reliability, was enshrined in family protection law of 193 nations. Family First Prevention Network operated universally. Every community worldwide, 200 million families helped across 2 centuries, documented prevention of 2 million deaths through early intervention based on family member warnings. Hell's Angels, 50th generation since Reaper, had become humanity's largest domestic violence protection organization, 500 million members globally, all trained in abuse recognition and victim protection. providing security and support for victims escaping dangerous situations in every nation. We'll never forget Emma, members declared during bicentennial commemoration. 200 years ago, desperate 12-year-old trusted scary strangers to protect sister. We investigated, we protected, we prevented marriage to multi-state abuser. That taught us our eternal purpose, protecting vulnerable people from abuse, regardless of how unlikely we seem as allies. Emma's lesson endures. Children recognize abuse, adults miss. Family intervention saves lives. Unlikely allies often provide best protection. Trust your instincts. Angel's lesson endures. Appearance doesn't determine character. Protective action matters more than looking safe. Listen when desperate people ask for help. Investigate thoroughly before dismissing concerns. Together, they proved one desperate plea and one protective response create 2 centuries of systematic family-based domestic violence prevention affecting 200 million families. 200 years. 200 million families helped, 2 million deaths prevented, global domestic violence culture transformed, all because 12-year-old trusted scary strangers, all because those strangers investigated and protected. That's power of trusting unlikely allies. That's miracle of taking children seriously. That's legacy that never dies. Thank you, Emma, for trusting your instinct over adults' dismissals, for having courage to approach scary strangers, for teaching us children see clearly. Thank you, Madison, for eventually listening to your sister, for sharing your story helping others, for proving victims can escape and thrive. Thank you, Reaper and Hell's Angels, for listening to desperate child, for investigating thoroughly, for protecting decisively, for proving appearance doesn't determine character. The lesson lives forever. Listen when family members express abuse concerns. Investigate seriously regardless of reporter's age. Seek protection from any available allies. Trust instinct over social expectations. Intervene early before abuse escalates fatally. Never dismiss children's warnings. Never judge allies by appearance. Never delay intervention. Never forget one plea saved millions. Because Emma begged strangers. Because angels protected fiercely. Because 200 million families benefited forever. That's truth. That's power. That's legacy. Recognize, intervene, protect, save. Always.